Hi, I'm Anna, Alchemist of the Arts. Welcome to my channel. This is a full moon energy update for the full moon of July 2022. Whether you are new or whether you've been here before, then I bid you welcome. All of my information about how you can connect with me, the things that I do, are in the description box below. But with that aside, just to let you know that I am an intuitive reader, channel, and psychic medium. So these messages very much come from that perspective and from the channel message that has been coming through to me for the last couple of days now. I was very much interrupted in the course of my work yesterday and just had to write down a big long list of messages that they wanted me to bring through, which I will be sharing as posts, probably on Instagram, because that feels the easiest way to get those out in the most concise way possible. But also I wanted to share a channel message with you. So one of the main words that's been coming through to me at this time is clarity. This would be the key word as it was. And I feel like many of us, this is a time of gaining clarity, of finding a sense of inner stability within that clarity after what could have been quite a confusing time with a lot of change. That confusion could have led to us beginning or initiating a lot of changes. But the other message and phrase that's been coming through has been redefining structures. Now, this could hit multiple aspects of our life, within ourselves, outside of ourselves, on the wider world as a whole, or within our personal lives, within our own personal experience in ways we might not express or verbalize to others. So in the initial stages, I feel like there could have been, over the past few months, because this everything that has been going on a spiritual level for all of us, an energetic level, has been a build-up, a progression. It's part of the journey. It's not one singular moon. It's not one singular celestial happening or experience. It is all a progression, something that will challenge us perhaps in multiple different areas of our lives, different areas at any particular time, in order for us to expand, in order for us to view things differently, to view different aspects of self, with awareness, to gain awareness, with truth and honesty, to gain said clarity. So for many of us, we could be looking at our life on the whole and looking at what brings us a sense of satisfaction and what doesn't anymore, where we may feel constricted, where we may feel we have sort of run our course in a particular way of doing things. And for many of us, we could have gone through a time of perhaps trying different things, experiencing different things, and then coming back to a place of saying, actually, no, do you know what? I'm being very guided to do things this way, or this is what feels right for me. And the most important thing about that is tuning into what does feel right to you. There is no harm in trying new things ever. It is how we grow, it's how we evolve, it's how we expand into greater visions and versions of ourselves, use different skills, and learn more about ourselves. But sometimes we realize that all of those different things that we try, not all of it we want to carry forwards into the future, into our ways of working. This sense of redefining structures starts within, and looking at ourselves and perhaps those limiting beliefs that we are holding on to, the story that we've been telling ourselves about life, about the things that we can do, the ways in which things work, the ways in which we have to do things, and what is expected of us. Bringing us back to a moment of clarity within and asking ourselves, what is it that we want to do? How do we want to work? If we have to work, how do we want our day to be structured? How do we want to experience it? How do we want to use our energy within that day? On a larger level, it could be, and I should say as well, you know, there is a definite level of inner talk. But again, I just keep being pulled back to, it's those stories that we're telling. And when it comes to you know, living within a perception-based reality, consciousness, the art of manifestation, the direction of our energy and intention, working in a co-creative way with cosmic forces, energy, whatever you want to call it, very much the Giburun, then we really need to look at the way in which we perceive ourselves, the world around us, and the stories that we're telling about it, because they're very, very powerful. And you'll often find that within those stories, we find a lot of truth, because that's how powerful our imaginal realm is. So that truth we find is, you know, arguably because that is in which we are creating with the power of our thoughts and our consciousness and the direction of our energy. So if we're constantly saying, I can't do that, if I do that, this will happen, or if I do it this way, everybody's not going to like me anymore, anything, all of these things, and even on a really most powerfully on a subconscious level, um, it might be a really good opportunity to see where those stories are coming to the surface. That might not be immediate. It might be something that just unfolds. It might be a certain amount of circumstances that happen, things that happen in your life, and then you were given the opportunity to view them in a very slightly different way. So there could be, as I said, a potential for conflict. And it's not to say that conflict is necessary in order to gain clarity, but this conflict may be rising, this inner conflict or conflict with others. Sometimes that is the only way things come to the surface. It's not the only way, but sometimes that is the pathway in which these things come to the surface, and then they give us an opportunity to move forwards. If you are met with conflict, it doesn't mean that you have to respond with conflict. And again, if we come to that place of inner clarity and knowing what we want from a situation, sometimes we can diffuse said conflict in order to move forwards with that person in a positive and productive way. That said, we are human. We do experience human emotions, and sometimes they do get the better of us. And again, meeting ourselves with awareness in that moment and allowing ourselves to move forwards from that moment in a more positive and productive way, recognizing that perhaps there was a need for those things to be said, maybe not in that way, but now it is done, how do we move forwards? It's very much that kind of energy. It's finding that clarity within the situation. And in my personal experience, and please don't take this if it doesn't resonate with you, but sometimes we do have to go through something and see maybe the shadow aspect of self, the shadow aspect of the situation, in order to see the truth within it, to see what no longer works for us, what we no longer want. Sometimes we really think that we want to be a part of something, have an experience, work for a certain person or in a certain way, for us to do it and then go, actually, this really doesn't feel right, or it's causing this sense of inner conflict within me, or I'm not happy. And sometimes that's a really just a powerful statement to stand there and say, actually, I'm not happy. And as a human, there are certain things that I can do towards this. There are some things that I cannot do. We cannot change other people, but we can be honest with ourselves and express ourselves in a true and honest way, and then see where people meet us. But again, being brought back to those stories, reality being perception based, and us having so much power to create our experience of our reality, very much, be conscious of what it is that you want to create. All of the stuff, if there are things going wrong, experiences and things happening that you don't enjoy, that you don't want to happen, they can provide us with clarity. They can provide us with the opportunity to reflect about what we're thinking, about our beliefs, about our life, about the things that we can do, about the person that we can be. Because in the present moment we are, but there is so much potential, and it's how much of that do you want to embody? So a couple of the other channel messages that came through, and I appreciate this is probably going to be a long one, and I'm sorry. A couple of the other channel messages that came through, in the sense of redefining structures, a part of that can be really getting very clear on your own personal energy within your personal environment, but within yourself too. Recognizing, having the opportunity to clear spaces, to clear your energy, to clear any outer influence which perhaps don't have a positive impact. Now, this came up very much around the theme of conflict as well, whereby perhaps there are influences within your life. This could be media, it could be friends, peer groups, the social media that you consume, anything like that that could perhaps propel you towards a sense of conflict with others that is driven very much by repeated messaging. And this can be energetic, it can be just, suddenly feeling very, very agitated. Um, and at that point, I would always recommend clearing your own energy. If you are unsure how to do that, there are energy clearing meditations available for free on YouTube. There are loads of different sources. You can go to your own, whether you pray, whether you meditate, whether you leave offerings, whatever feels most fitting for you, working with the deities and guides that work for you, with you, that fit your own personal belief. You could sage your space, you could physically clean your space, remove objects and things that might hold a particular memory for you. This is something that, as energy sensitive people, that we can take for granted so easily. If we buy things, that all objects hold energy. So if you're bringing things into your home that maybe are not brand new, or even just from the origin from which they were created, the person that created them, or objects that have been present to experiences, I know that sounds crazy, these things can all hold a residual energy. So sometimes they need to be cleared. Sometimes particular things, it's better to remove them. And again, use your own discernment. Take your moment to gain that clarity. But removing those objects from your space will also bring about a sense of clarity. They will also clear energy from your space. And when we clear energy, we also create an opening for new energy to come in. The one thing the universe does like, the cosmic intelligence, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't like is a vacuum. So if you were clearing things away from your space because of the laws of polarity with energy, set your intention about what you would like in its place. If you're clearing potentially conflicting energy, argumentative energy, then invite clarity in its place, invite peace and joy in its place, whatever feels most right for you. Perhaps if it's your workspace and you're clearing away stress and chaos, invoke calm and productivity. That's just one example, but very much this sense of clarity, redefining structures in terms of clearing your personal space felt like a really, really important one. And again, in terms of energetically, with the things that you're watching, with the media that you're consuming, and how that might influence your energy and the way in which you express or interact with others, that felt really important as well, especially before making any big changes. Another one of the key phrases that came through was playing devil's advocate with the self. Now, I am not one to suggest that you second guess your intuition. I feel many of us do that so much anyway, especially as we are in the process of really building our own connection to our own intuition. One of the really big things that comes through for me at this time is really getting clarity on, if you're being inspired to make very big changes, really tune in with yourself. Ask yourself the basis for this decision. Am I being impulsive? Have I allowed myself a moment of pause before I send that message, before I react to this thing, before I react in a certain way and potentially do something that can't be undone? Take a moment, really tune in with yourself, ask for guidance and align with yourself, and just say, is this the best way that I can handle this situation? And I think that's probably the most easy universal question to ask in terms of coming into alignment. And by doing that, hopefully there will be an opportunity to release any potential interference energy, any impulsivity that might be coming from a place of frustration, before we've given ourselves an opportunity to come into energetic alignment and express what it is that we want to do from our highest potential method of communication at that time, from our highest perspective in that moment. We're not perfect. We will all do things impulsively. Sometimes those things are exactly the way they're supposed to play out. Sometimes those things are our own catalysts for growth and learning, our own responses and impulses, and sometimes that is the biggest key to our own learning, to our own shifts within our own experience, is when we do take that time to go, no, do you know what? I recognize that I have behaved in this way. It is not something that I wish to repeat or do again. I am ready to release this, and I'm grateful that I have had the opportunity to recognize this pattern within myself. It's now time to release it and work on releasing it and step forwards into with a commitment, a level of commitment with myself, that I will do things differently. It's very important to remember that we are human, that we all have emotions. For all the work that we've done on ourselves, stuff can come up, stuff that can come up that we thought we'd dealt with, that we've worked on. We still have triggers, and with the best will in the world, this journey is progressive, and it's part of what we do. It's part of why we're here, and it's very much there's somebody's sign. Somebody needed to hear that. It's very much part of our experience. We will keep learning until, well, forever, until that last breath. I would hope that we're still open to growth, still open to seeing where there is greater potential within us, because anything that we wish to change is that spark of potential, and viewing it in that way can for some of us be truly life-changing, rather than seeing it as a deficit within the self. Anything that we wish to change, any sense of frustration, is an opportunity for new growth, for new life, for a rebirth. And these cycles, they're really, really powerful, and they're a beautiful part of the experience. So I'm going to wrap this up because I've spoken to you for far too long now, and if you've made it this far, then I'm really grateful, and I apologise for the croakiness of my voice. I have been fighting off a cold or something this week. There are several runes that I would say would be very powerful to work with at this time. Well, now, one of them is Hagalaz, but I want to express very strongly, I'm going to create a bind rune for this energy. It would be Hagalaz tempered with Lagus, to bring in a sense of peace, calm, and flow through major changes and through transitions. Because I do feel like this is a time for great transition for many of us, which could feel very stressful. And again, bringing in any inner peace and calm, any momentary pause for clarity could really assist. Nathi's has been a big one that I think would most likely be the driving force behind some of these changes. But in terms of working through them, definitely Lagos to temper Hagalaz, and I will use this in a bind rune, and the Gibu rune of understanding that co-creative nature, maybe Evaz and Gibu, understanding that co-creative nature of our energy, of what we ripple out and what we receive back. Now that works in terms of manifestation, but the manifestation of our daily lives. You know, if we accept we live in a perception-based reality, then we are experiencing what it is that we are, how the way in which we see it, everything, and the person that we are, the state that we're in, our expectation of life and what we can receive is what will flow back to us. So working very much on those perceptions, allowing for those changes, but in a beautiful, calm, and co-creative way, feels like it's going to be really, really powerful at this time. So I'm going to be sharing a tarot and rune reading for the full moon energies. I will be sharing some more posts on Instagram with some of those channel messages and how to work with some of this energy. And again, just a reminder, you won't necessarily feel all of these things coming up for you at once. It could just be one area of your life, and that's absolutely okay. You know, all of it could be very, very overwhelming. So take what comes for you, take what feels right for you, take what feels resonant for you, because it doesn't have to be all of it. And you're not doing anything wrong if this isn't coming up for you. This could be messages for a particular soul group, for other people, and you might find other messages that do resonate with you that aren't mine. So that's fine. But do work with how you're feeling, and just be loving and accepting with where you are right now, because we are all in a huge period of growth and expansion. So with all my love. I will see you in other videos and readings, and just thank you if you've made it this far for watching this. All of my information is in the description box below. Take care. Lots of love. Bye bye.